The first box office figures for Rise of Skywalker have been released. They are out of China. Nowhere else I've seen has got any figures yet. North America certainly hasn't released any figures. And what we have is a little bit of a mixed bag, but right now it's looking fairly catastrophic for the Rise of Skywalker. To begin with, they have released on a different day of the week. The advanced screenings for The Last Jedi were on a Thursday, whereas we have the advanced screenings on a Wednesday here. So we're not comparing the exact same day of the week. That may go to the advantage of Rise of Skywalker as we go forward through time, but as it sits right now, things are looking pretty bad. To begin with, the good news is the advanced screening money was a lot better for The Rise of Skywalker than for The Last Jedi. The Wednesday advanced screenings for The Rise of Skywalker got $1.84 million, and the Thursday advanced screenings for The Last Jedi got only $500,000, $0.53 million. So more than 3 times the amount of money in advanced screenings for The Rise of Skywalker compared to The Last Jedi. But when we take a look at the next day, the first full day of release, which again is a Thursday for The Rise of Skywalker as opposed to a Friday for The Last Jedi, we get a total of only $3.8 million for The Rise of Skywalker compared to $9.5 million for The Last Jedi. So an absolutely massive difference in what was earned after their first full day. But again, the first full days are different days. It's comparing a Thursday with a Friday. We can also look at the current total out of China for Friday. Friday has not finished in China yet. It's a little bit more than halfway done, so this figure will certainly go up from here. But right now, as it stands, The Rise of Skywalker is sitting on $4.62 million around about the middle of Friday. And that compares to nearly $20 million for the end of the second day for The Last Jedi. But the end of the second day for The Last Jedi is a Saturday. So again, we're one day out here, so that may mean things will improve for The Rise of Skywalker, but just on the total number of days that things are out, absolutely catastrophic for The Rise of Skywalker right now compared to the total box office that The Last Jedi had at a similar point in time. And the total amount of money that The Last Jedi had in China at the end of the first weekend, at the end of the Sunday, was just over $27 million. So that was for advanced screenings on Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday, $27 million. To make the figures a little bit more clear, we can put them on a chart. 2 charts here, basically the same. The one on the left just uses the numbers of days the films have been in release, and the one on the right actually uses the specific days. So looking on the one on the left, we can see that The Rise of Skywalker was above The Last Jedi. The red line was above the blue line for the first release. That was the advanced screenings. But after that, the next day, absolutely terrible. And the next day after that, still absolutely terrible. But remembering again that that last figure is a partial figure. That will go up from there. Very hard to believe it'll go up to be above the blue line, but it will certainly improve from where it is right now. And then looking at the chart on the right-hand side, again, the exact same figures, but we've got the Wednesday advanced screenings there for The Rise of Skywalker. We've then got Thursday advanced screenings, which are far worse again. And then we've got the Friday comparisons to the partial Friday, far ahead. And we can see where it ended up at the end of Sunday for The Last Jedi. It's looking pretty difficult for The Rise of Skywalker to be up there. But again, only partial results for Friday. Maybe things can improve. But right now, with these very early numbers, things are looking absolutely catastrophic for the box office for The Rise of Skywalker in China. The good news for this bad news out of China is that the Chinese don't really like Star Wars. The Last Jedi only earned a total of $40 million in China. It does look like The Rise of Skywalker is going to do worse than that in China with these very early figures. Again, I can't stress enough that very early figures. But even if it doesn't earn anything like $40 million there, that's still fairly small in the scheme of things of how much money this film will earn. So just because it has a bad amount of box office money in China doesn't really mean much. What does mean a lot is if the Chinese market likes it less than The Last Jedi, is that an indication that everyone will like it less than The Last Jedi? So again, it's not really important what the box office drops to in China, but just the simple fact that if it's liked, let's say, half as much, is it going to be liked half as much in other markets? That's the important factor here. The only real news we have about the box office from North America so far is this article here from Deadline. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker advanced ticket sales now pacing with Last Jedi. The Last Jedi got about $45 million in its advanced screenings money, so we'll have to wait about a day probably until we get what the official or semi-official projected total is for the Rise of Skywalker advanced ticket sales. So $45 million is the main target to look at. If it beats the $45 million, it may very well earn more than $220 million in its opening weekend. If it goes under the $45 million, we're obviously looking at the low end. The general projections so far from the industry were a low figure of $175 million for opening weekend in North America and $200 million plus, which means 200 and whatever. So $175 million is the low mark. The critics' reviews have come out and not been great. The audience reviews have come out and they have been pretty good, which has surprised me. So that may in fact boost it up from the $175 million range if people look at the audience score instead of the critic scores. But going by the critics, we're looking at a $175 million opening weekend for Star Wars this weekend. As usual, we'll have to wait until the actual real box office numbers come out. The Friday box office number from North America, which should be out on Saturday, that's the main one to look at to be able to project forward what we're going to earn in North America. So around about Saturday, North American time, that's when we'll be able to see what is the film going to earn. Will it be able to get over the $600 million it got in North America for The Last Jedi, or are we looking at a far lower figure than $600 million? Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.